Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 347. This episode of What's Right with Nick Wright is brought to you by Boost Mobile. A ton to do today. We are not on TV today and tomorrow because of the Euro soccer tournament. So this will be the only place that I'll be on the air today. And then a little schedule adjustment. Next week, instead of Tuesday pod, we will do a Monday pod. The reason for that I will explain in just a moment. Demonze, great to see you. The approaching weekend birthday. Major plans? Anything?
Probably just go out
key?
with the friends. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Yeah, maybe on like Saturday or something.
Yeah, it's also the late 20s birthdays they all kind of run together. 25 is something and 30 is something. Right. But 26, 27, 28, 29 maybe a little something because you feel like that's my last year in their 20s. Yeah, but so this is, if we were to power rank birthdays, 27 is pretty bad. Like, not bad, but it's just it's low, it doesn't make very low on the totem pole. And for your birthdays up to this point, it, like, as far as excitement level going into it, it might be dead last. Like, I'm not trying to rain on your, like, there's not a lot of buzz. 100%. Not a lot of discussion of this coming birthday. Reminder, like the pod, subscribe to the pod, like the YouTube page, subscribe to the YouTube page, rate, review, all that. I did promise a major personal announcement, professional announcement. That's coming momentarily. But before we get to that, straight to voicemail brought to you by our friends at, let me turn this so you guys can see it, our friends at Boost Mobile. Nikola Jokic not signing his extension yet. This is, to me, I'll just do it very quickly, actually a non-story. That is pure. It is not about, don't worry, Daniel, lack of faith in the franchise or anything like that. It is simply he can make more money waiting 1 year, so it makes sense for him to wait 1 year. Also, Shai and Angel Reese named the NBA 2K cover athletes. I've got to say, I'm a little confused about the Angel Reese piece of this, and it has nothing to do with Angel Reese versus Nafisa Collier versus Caitlin Clark versus Asia Wilson. Has to do with the legitimate question of, like, the physical video game is going to have Shai on the cover. So when they're like, Angel Reese is on the cover, there is not a WNBA 2K game. It is layered like inside. Editions. So, like, people are going to be able to buy a physical video game with that cover.
100%. I'm pretty sure. Like, that's how it's worked in previous. Like, because I feel like there was a year that, like, Kobe, they had like a Kobe version, like a LeBron version of this. It's just like different covers. I'm pretty sure. Okay,
so I thought it was just like a digital, like the Sports Illustrated cover athlete when you can't go physically buy a Sports Illustrated anymore. Like that, it was just an internet image. I didn't know you could get, pardon me, the physical media, and one of them would have Angel on the cover. Okay, all right. Well, that is more interesting to me and cooler for her, and she actually has been playing really well as of late.
Yep.
And by the way, smart of 2K to be like, you know what? Let's just stir the pot a little bit. Let's just do that, exactly. And then, you know what I mean? Be like, hey, why are you mad at us? And also, Joe Burrow said after his house got robbed, he is no longer buying the Batmobile, which is a sick headline. Thank you, as always, to our friends at Boost Mobile for Straight to Voicemail, brought to you by Boost Mobile. All right, Demonze, before we get to the actual show, I promised on Tuesday that I was going to have an announcement off the top of the show today. And for some of you, I think you will find this to be incredibly cool. For some of you, you will not care at all. And for some folks, probably less so folks that are listening or watching this right now live on YouTube, but who are going to see this announcement on social media, or if it gets reported in other outlets, I think some people will probably be mad. And I will address that on the back end of this. But next week, I am going back to Vegas because for the World Series of Poker main event final table, I will be a part of the broadcast on Poker Go. And so let me talk about what this means for me for a moment. Then let me talk about the responsibility that this is, and then we will get into the sports. For me, this will be one of the 5 coolest moments of my professional career. Full stop. This is a true dream. This is something that I have been trying to set the table for the better part of 10 years, if I'm being totally honest, and really put real effort into a strategy to make this a possibility over the last 5 years. Some people know, some people don't, that I, about 4 years ago, played Phil Hellmuth heads up in a poker tournament for $50,000. It was an unbelievable experience. I almost won. It was great. I actually thought I handled myself quite well. It created a few hilarious, viral clips, even if you're not super into poker. But when you remove all that from it, it still was me putting down $50,000 when I'm a huge underdog. And I think some people thought that was maybe either foolish of me or, man, Nick must have way more money than I thought. And the answer was neither. It wasn't that I had more money than you thought, and it wasn't that I thought I was a favorite. It was that to me was an investment in getting more involved on a real level with the poker world. And I thought if I handled myself well, if I continued to develop my relationships with people like Phil and Daniel and the legendary Nick Schulman, and not that those guys aren't legendary, but Nick's just having an unbelievable summer. And Brent Hanks at Poker Go and Jeff Platt and those guys, Ali Najad, that maybe one day I could add not just some types of poker broadcasting to what I do, but maybe be able to call the poker version of the Super Bowl. Well, I guess I could say the poker version of the World Series, because it is called the World Series of Poker main event. And the fact that I'm going to be able to... So last year I went out there and called the final table of the 250K, which was it was the biggest buy-in and, maybe the hardest tournament of the summer, but the main event's the main event. And it is a poker tournament unlike any other poker tournament that exists in the world. It is still the most prestigious. It is still the white whale for every poker player who's ever lived. And it is a lifelong dream of mine to be a part of that broadcast. And the fact that I will, and I don't, Brent Hanks is going to obviously be a part of it. Jeff Platt will be a part of it. I would imagine, and I hope desperately, that Nick Schulman, who in addition to being my buddy, and in my opinion right now the single greatest poker player alive, he is going to be a part of it. The voice of poker worldwide, Ali Najad, is going to be a part of it, and I'm sure others. If you've been watching the World Series of Poker, I'm sure you are wondering, is Jared Blesnick, who has been absolutely unbelievable on comms for the World Series so far this year, is he going to be a part of it? My answer is I hope so. And now if you are seeing this, and you're not seeing it because you're watching What's Right with Nick Wright on YouTube, or you're not listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, you're seeing this because it is embedded in a pokernews.com article or somebody shared it on Twitter, and your reaction is, you've got to be kidding me. It's the main event final table, and they're going to put some hot take sports guy on there, and it's not going to be given the gravity, or this person is not going to take this as seriously as we in the poker community would like. All I can say to you is, I give you my word, nobody will take this more seriously than me. And I will, as far as treating this event with the gravity and the professionalism that it clearly deserves, I can promise you I will not let the poker world down. Now, will that mean you like the commentary, or that, if I'm being totally honest, I'm good at it, or any of those other things? I guess we'll see. So I cannot promise you that I'll do great. I know that if I don't, I'll be heartbroken, but such is life. Sometimes, something's not your thing. And I've done a fair amount of poker commentary before, but nothing like this. And it will, just for me, there are a few things professionally that are on the list. I've been incredibly lucky, and I've been able to do a lot of the list that I would have had 20 years ago. As far as pie in the sky, everything works out perfectly goals. If you were to ask me 10 years ago, 5 that I had not done and was not tracking to do, but I still, wanted to keep available to me. They would have been in no particular order: to be a part of an Olympics, to at least one time be the third man in a booth for an NFL and an NBA game, to at least one time do Red Zone that Sunday, follow me, do the games, which might sound silly to people, but I just think I am, with respect to the great Andrew Siciliano and the great Scott Hansen, I actually think I'd be the best in the world at that. That one I would not be worried. People would be like, oh, he's not good. I actually think there's no one in the world that'd be better at that than me, but set that aside. And then the fifth, and again in no order, would be to broadcast the World Series of Poker main event final table. And so it is close to as cool as it gets for me. And I am overwhelmingly excited to do it. So that's the announcement. They are long days. It is a lot. The streams are, 10, 12, 14 hours at times, which is why a lot of people will be involved. And let me just say one other thing. I mentioned this person already, but I cannot thank Maury Escandani and Brent Hanks and Kerry Katz and Jeff Platt and all the people at Poker Go, and I mentioned Ali and Nick, obviously, enough for trusting me with this and letting me do this. And hopefully this isn't like a fantasy camp type thing. This is something where people are watching the broadcast and they're like, Nick added something. That was good. We enjoyed that. That is, again, I'll be crestfallen if the poker world watches this and is like, man, Nick kind of screwed that up. It could happen. I don't think it will. But that's the major announcement. Sorry for the focus there. But that's why the show next week will be Monday instead of Tuesday, because Tuesday I'll be in Vegas. And while they did tell me I could do the show from Vegas like I did before, I want to be zeroed, locked in on the task at hand. All right, DeMonze, good to see you. And by the way, for the second straight Vegas trip, your mom and I are both going to Vegas, and we are going to be there. Like, she is going to Vegas Saturday and leaving Tuesday night. And I am going to Vegas Monday night and leaving Wednesday night. And so we might not even cross paths. You might ask, you know what? I don't know. That's just how it happens. I guess one argument is because, Deanna and one of us being here. The other argument is, like, I don't know. Like, maybe she likes Vegas more without me. Who knows? All right, let's get to the sports at hand here.
So Ayton is getting settled in LA, getting all comfy and all that. Luka sent him a welcome message. Welcome to LA, Deandre Ayton. Yeah. Excited to play with you next year. LeBron James has not said anything to him, though. Is there something to read into here?
It's not nothing.
Yeah.
So DeAndre did this interview 2 days ago, I think. Whatever it was, the interview that he did, we played a piece of on the TV show yesterday. And we did not play this piece because it was a radio interview in LA, and I didn't know that this was said. So credit to whomever clipped this and posted it, because I hadn't listened to the full 15-minute or whatever radio interview it was. And so I had only seen kind of what had made mainstream, so to speak. But I saw this and I was like, oh, well, that's something. So, and the reason it's something is because it is either, how do I phrase this properly?
LeBron's not going to be there?
Well,
doesn't need to talk to him?
It's not, that is by no means like, oh, lock it in because of this. But it certainly added a little more fuel to the idea that LeBron James might not be a Laker next year. So it famously, or I don't know if it's famous, but at least to me it is. LeBron, when he announced he was going back to Cleveland, and he did it with Lee Jenkins in an SI article, he listed all the guys he was excited to be playing with the Cavs. And he had not listed number 1 overall pick from a week prior, Andrew Wiggins. And one way to read that was the article was written before the draft, or that he was only thinking about or including the active veterans. And another way to look at it was LeBron expected that they would be trading Wiggins as part of getting a veteran win-now guy, and that is and so he did not want to include Andrew Wiggins when he did not think he was ever going to be playing with Andrew Wiggins, which is exactly what they did. So before I give my opinion on what I think this actually is, let's lay out all of the available options for this, and we can, put a percentage on each of them at the end. Option 1, busy guy, forgot. That's these are not power ranked in order. I'm just saying if we want to lay out all of the possibilities, right? Option 1, busy guy, forgot. I guess option 2 is not that busy, didn't forget, but has some feud with Deandre Ayton we didn't know about, and he's furious about this trade. I would say of all these, that's probably the least likely. I think if there was a Deandre Ayton LeBron beef, we would have known about it, right? Option 3, he did. And Deandre didn't see the text. DeAndre's wrong. Because he said Luka texted him and LeBron didn't. So he didn't say anyone talked to him on the phone. They missed the text. Got so many texts that, when the news broke that he got a text from a number that he didn't have, it was like, yo, congrats, man, let's get it. And he was like, okay, whatever. And it turns out that's LeBron James. Again, these are not power ranked in order. I'm just trying to lay out all of the available possibilities. Those first 3, by the way, slim to very, very slim. But they're on the possibilities. All right, now the more salacious ones. That LeBron does not want to tell Deandre Ayton, excited to play with you, when he does not know if he will be playing with him. And then the last option is LeBron expects to be playing with Deandre Ayton, but wants to keep maximum pressure on the Lakers to make every move possible to make their team better going into this year. And the only leverage he has over them right now is the specter of, well, maybe I don't think I'm going to be on this team. That, to me, those 5 possibilities cover 99% of call it 100% of what the reason could be. Here's how I would apply the likelihood of each. My first draft pick of that would be LeBron thinks he's going to be on the Lakers, did not reach out to DeAndre because he had a feeling it would become public that he had not yet reached out to DeAndre, and wants to keep the pressure on Rob Pelinka to continue to improve the roster, which, if we're being honest, they have had a underwhelming offseason. On that note, if I may, then I'll get back to the percentages parts, because Brew and I got into this yesterday. Going into this offseason, we felt like the Lakers, it was an absolute lock and mandatory that they upgrade the center position. They did do that, and they did that in an interesting way where they didn't have to give up assets, where it didn't cost them a lot of money, and the talent upside is quite high, but it's also a guy who's 6 years into his career has been unreliable and not that mature and really alienated teammates and coaches.
I really think LeBron James is like, man, y'all got DeAndre Ayton. That's not the center I wanted. I'm not texting him. I'm not welcoming this guy to the team.
I should have included that one. Yeah, I guess as an option. What is this? LeBron is pissed that it was Ayton.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually. So the reason I didn't even think of that, but that's obvious. I definitely should have. I guess that's kind of that.
I think it's more likely than the first 2 or 3. Beef. Right.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So here's the reason that I don't put a pin in that real quick, and let me finish this other thought, then we'll get to that one, because that's good. I'm glad you mentioned that one. So they did get a center, and we can argue about if it was their best option, if it was the best of bad options, whatever it is. But the rest of the roster not only remained basically unchanged, but got a touch worse. Because switching out Dorian Finney-Smith for Jake LaRavia is, at the very least in the short term, a downgrade. And so there would be real frustration there. So I would put LeBron expects to be a Laker, but wants to keep the screws on the Lakers to continue to make moves as the reason for him not reaching out. I would put that at 65%. I think that is the biggest percentage here. I would put LeBron didn't reach out because he does not think he's going to be a Laker next year at 20%. I think there is a 1 in 5 shot right now that LeBron thinks, yeah, I'm not going to be on the team. Now that's not huge, but it's not nothing. It's, more likely than rolling a single die and rolling a 6 or any number on the die, any particular number on the die. So 65% he's trying to keep the pressure on him. 20% he doesn't think he's going to be there. I will give Demonze's, this is not the player he wanted, and therefore he didn't reach out at 5%. I will certainly massively upgrade Demonze's theory if we found out he did reach out to Jake LaRavia. If he was like, yo, man, let's get it. Then your likelihood is way, way higher. I will put it at busy guy just didn't do it at 5%. And that leaves what? Oh, that leaves 5% more left. And I will put it at he did reach out. Deandre Ayton didn't have the number saved and did not know it was LeBron. It was like, why is this person texting me with a crown? At 4%. And I will put there is a long-standing, maybe out of loyalty to his buddy Chris Paul, Deandre Ayton beef at 1%. So that's how I handicap this whole thing. It's not nothing, though. That's my takeaway. It's not nothing, and I am interested in the next time, because you know what's also not nothing, Demonze? If we're doing the not nothing meter, the Lakers, who sent out a bunch of press releases about a bunch of offseason moves, the Lakers not sending out a press release about LeBron opting into his player option, that's also not nothing. Now, does that mean it's
that's
everything?
That's the social media guy.
No. The press releases come from the team. Like, your official press release is released by the team and sent to all NBA media. You want to know the most famous NBA press release ever? Hold on. I want to quote it to you exactly. This is an all-time one. So Pat Riley, who's never my light just fell. Do I still look okay? I hope so. So Pat Riley on official in Miami Heat letterhead sent out to the league comms, and everyone covering the league. After Danny Ainge took a shot at Pat Riley. Let me give the background. Danny Ainge told Boston, this is 2013, Danny Ainge told Boston radio station WEEI that LeBron James had no cause to challenge officials for failing to classify fouls assessed to Kirk Hinrich and Taj Gibson as flagrant. He said, quote, I think the referees got the calls right. I don't think it was a hard foul. I think the one involving LeBron against Boozer, that was a flagrant. I think the officials got it right. I think that it's almost embarrassing that LeBron would complain about officiating. So Danny Ainge, who was running the Celtics, comments on the radio about something that was happening between the Heat and the Bulls. So Pat Riley has the Miami Heat press office type up an official press release that reads, and I quote, Danny Ainge needs to shut the fuck up and manage his own team. He was the biggest whiner going when he was playing, and I know that because I coached against him. End of statement.
I like Pat Riley.
And all time, I'll take the fine, but I've never liked this guy. I coached against him. We now play against him. And I quote, Danny Ainge needs to shut the fuck up and manage his own team. He was the biggest whiner going when he was playing, and I know that because I coached against him. Oh, my goodness gracious. Danny Ainge then, again, I don't know why we're doing this. Ainge then replies, I stand by what I said. That's all. I don't care about Pat Riley. He can say whatever he wants. But this is just Danny Ainge talking. This isn't a press release. This is Danny Ainge. And then Ainge added, I don't want to mess up his Armani suits and all that hair goop. It would be way too expensive for me. And so, I mean, this is... That's Riley, so dude. Sorry about that. I mean, Pat Riley's just such a legend. I mean, he's just such a I remember when that came out, and I was like, I didn't even know that was like allowed, like in official communications. I guess, you know, what a simpler time.
Yeah.
When I remember being somewhat scandalized, I'm like, he cursed. He's a basketball team president. Little did I know that years later, you know, the people running the world would regularly be like, they don't know what the F did, this, that. Yeah. Like, yeah, lots changed in a dozen years. All right, folks, insane. For the first time ever, full-blown all-women's boxing mega event going down in New York City. 2 title fights, same night. And if you're like me and you love the action, DraftKings Sportsbook is where it's at. Talking Katie Taylor against Amanda Serrano III, the trilogy fight. I didn't even mention this to you guys when I was talking about this before. I went to one of the first 2 of these that was also in New York City. The trilogy is in New York City as well. They are absolute legends. Katie's putting her super lightweight belt on the line, and you know Serrano is bringing the heat. And don't sleep on the co-main. Alicia, the bomb Gardner, with explosive powers, taking on the undefeated WBA interim champ Jennifer Miranda. That one's going to be fireworks. If you've never bet with DraftKings, super simple. Pick who you think's going to win. Truly that easy. Check this out. If you're new to DraftKings, throw down $5 and boom. You get $5, you get $150, in bonus bets instantly. It's really that simple. If you're new to DraftKings, bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code Wright. That's code Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. All right, DeMonte, a couple extensions in the NBA I found pretty noteworthy. Let's get to both of them. We'll start in Phoenix.
Yeah, so the Suns have locked up Devin Booker with a record 2-year extension through 2030. Yeah, so they might have fleeced the future Suns, but they have Devin Booker at least, right? Is there what's their situation now?
So here's the thing. And this also, sorry to, you know, as Brew once said to me, he's like, Nick, everything isn't about LeBron. And it's like, well, in the NBA it kind of is. Devin Booker, another player, objectively not as good as current LeBron James, who makes more money than LeBron James right now. Forget the extension, and nobody cares. Nobody's like, oh my God, you just can't win if you're paying Devin Booker $53 million. Now they can't win, but nobody blames Devin Booker for that.
Yeah, right.
But the 2-year, $133 million is the projected extension. Devin Booker approaching becoming $1 million a game player in his age 33 season. So Devin Booker now is on the books for 5 years. If his contract was starting right now, let me do this math real quick. 110, 171 plus 133, 304. He's on the books now for the next 5 years. 5 years, $304 million, an average of $60 million a year. The year-by-year salaries are 53, 57, 61, 64, 69.
What'd you say? 2 years for what?
I said 2 for 133.
I think it's 2 years for 145.
So that's I think it is. These are so. What is this? Is a little bit of a media note, I suppose. The modern sports media, when it comes to transaction reporting, is always going to report the maximum possible money that a deal could be. And that is like, let me see if I can even
like
find
incentives or something.
Well, so these deals, he is getting a percentage of the cap essentially. These max deals are, if you sign the true max, you are guaranteed in this year this percentage of the cap, and 35%, plus essentially. It is an estimate of what the cap will be, and then there also might be a few small-ish incentives. So this will be at least 133. I guess it could be 145. My point is the reporting on all these guys' deals always report the top end instead of the bottom end, because it's not a lot of actual reporting. It's receiving mass text messages from agents, and the agents want the biggest number possible out there. So somewhere between 133 and 145 over the next couple years. I didn't mean to contradict what you had said. I just was looking at it. I was looking at it from Spot Rack rather than the ESPN article and the reporting. But regardless, here is the question that I have for anyone. Just kind of a thought exercise, really. If the Suns were to want to trade Devin Booker, does this make him more or less attractive to a team? And by that I mean, does the fact that you have him locked up for 5 more years, so they obviously wouldn't be trading him anytime soon, so call it 4 more years. And you don't have to worry about him leaving. How does that counteract the fact that Devin Booker will be making, again, the most money any player in the league's allowed to make? And the answer might be no. Devin Booker is an all-NBA player. He's worth the max. You pay him the max. Got it. But do we think that is there reason to believe that if Devin Booker is the best player on your team, you're going to be a contending team? Now, again, these are actual questions, because the argument might be he literally was in the finals a few years ago. My counterpoint to that would be, I don't think he was the best player on that team. I think Chris Paul was. But regardless, maybe that certainly is arguable that he was, and they was the best player. So it's Devin Booker's awesome. You just need to build the right stuff around him. Maybe. The counterpoint to the counterpoint is, in the new era of the second apron NBA, how easy is that to do? Now, again, I would, top of my head, what is Devin Booker? The 13th best player in the NBA? So, at best 9th, at worst 15th, somewhere in there.
He's had some stars
those guys
too already, as far as building around him. So
you mean previously he's had stars around him?
100%.
Yeah, he and Durant thing not working is a knock on both of them pretty significantly. You know what I mean? And how badly it went. I put more of that on the general dysfunction of the team and the fact that, and this is funny. I'll tell you in a second. The general dysfunction of the team and the fact that it was just a terribly built roster. So I don't I don't kill him because he individually played well and he has wanted to be there and he's kind of done right by them. But bigger picture, DeMonte, I just think the Suns are as absolutely stuck as you can get. And I don't see any realistic way for them to dig themselves out. And I don't know that maybe Devin Booker, if they ended up deciding to finally accept defeat in Phoenix and tear it down, maybe you would get a massive haul for him. But I don't think that would be enough to dig themselves out of the hole that Matt Ishbia has built for them, has dug for them. I'm happy for Booker, and Booker, has been, for a guy that was, I think he was the 11th pick of the draft. I know it was the end of the lottery. I'm not sure. I know he wasn't in the single digits. For him now, 10 years into his career, to just be his 13th pick of the draft, thank you, be every single year 25 plus a night on good, not great efficiency, and to get this type of money is a hell of an accomplishment. He is a guy that twice in his career has made the All-NBA team, once third team, and then the one, in 2022, the year coming off the finals berth, was All-NBA first team, and he's been good in the playoffs. I do think because of the new, really unfortunate realities of the CBA, we are in a weird spot where a guy like that getting the max doesn't feel as clean as it once did. Like, listen, if he's the 13th best player in basketball, he's worth the max. Those guys always have been since we've had a max. Because the new CBA is so punitive and can make it so hard to, keep teams together, it just feels to me, tell me if you think this is unfair, DeMonte, that if Devin Booker is ever going to, forget win a championship, be on a perennial contender, he's going to need to be the team's. Say it again.
He needs to not be a max player.
No, I think he's just going to be a max player. Like I think that he needs to be the team's second best guy.
Yeah, I think that's pretty.
Like,
fair.
do I? Yeah, I don't. I think he's awesome. I also think if he's your best player, it's going to be very, very difficult to be a perennial contender. And I know if you're not, I don't know if there are a ton of Devin Booker fans, but not that people dislike him. But if you are a Devin Booker fan, you're probably like, dude, we made the finals, and then the next year we had the best record in basketball and got clocked by Luka. Like, stuff happens. And that maybe that's correct. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh. I just feel like he is, a fair tick beneath Tatum. And Tatum was able to do it with this unbelievable, very well put together team around him. I don't see how Booker's ever going to be in that position. And if he were, he's not quite as good as Tatum.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so so that's not that he couldn't have, had, if you had put him, if you had flip-flopped him and Tatum, I think the Suns are a little better, and I think the Celtics are a little worse, but the Celtics are still contenders with him as their best player. So I guess that's what I'm saying. If he's your best player, you need him an awesome situation.
Right.
And if he's your second best player, you're great. And I just don't know what Phoenix is going to do. All right, let's go to the other contract.
Chet has joined SGA and signing a big extension. J-Dub is bound to come soon. But teams with 3 max players in the past have struggled, and even now, to stay competitive and keep competing and staying together.
Yeah.
Do you think this could be a good thing for OKC, or is it a bad thing for them?
Well, listen, I hate the fact that in the new NBA, whenever somebody signs a deal, you're like, oh, second apron clock is ticking. Like, better keep winning now because you're going to have to break it down. I don't like that. That is not, to me, as much of a concern for Oklahoma City because Chet's contract won't kick in for another year. J-Dub, who's going to get this big extension, his contract won't kick in for another year. And Shai's on his second contract, but the new one, the third contract that Shai just signed, which is the huge one, that won't kick in for another couple years. So listen, will this mean that a year from now, they probably have to expect to trade Dort or lose Hartenstein, something like that? Yes. Should the Thunder still be in good shape? Yes. Did Chet just prove to us, if I'm your third best player, you can be the best team in the league and win a championship? Absolutely. Would I have paid him right now? No. I would have wanted to see another year because I think Chet is probably underrated. Not probably. He is definitely underrated if you just look at the box score stuff because his biggest value to OKC is on the defensive end. He does provide, a guy who's taller than 7 feet that can shoot threes as well as he does and seems to be totally comfortable in that role. Doesn't mind that he is, they expected Chet to be the second best player and J-Dub to be the third best player. That has totally flipped, and I don't see it flipping back. And Chet's been totally fine with it and been selfless. I give him a lot of credit for that. But the way this can go sideways on OKC is, and you can be like, well, this is the case for every team, is if one of those 3 guys misses a bunch of time with injury and you're tied to him. And Chet is definitively a significant injury risk. And you're laughing because you think this is purely my I don't trust the super skinny guys thing.
I mean, it's kind of falling back on that a little bit, but yeah. Except
he has missed, he's been in the NBA for 3 years. He's missed half of the time because of 2 kind of nondescript moments that resulted in catastrophic injury for him. Before he played his first NBA game, he's playing in that summer league, not even summer league, that basically pickup game against LeBron, and his foot gets broken. And then this year, he falls down and breaks his hip. Like, that's concerning. So I don't think it would have been unreasonable for Oklahoma City to say to Chet, we love you, man, and we appreciate everything you've done, but we need to see another healthy season. Like, thus far it has been rookie year out with injury, year 2 fully healthy the whole way, year 3 missed 50 games with injury.
It would have made a lot more sense for them to be hastier with extending J-Dub over Chet. That does make sense, given how
I'm sure this is just J-Dub's gonna get extended momentarily. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that to me is a no doubter. And I understand people that I think there are some people in the league maybe that believe Chet's upside still is higher than J-Dub's because of his height, because of, the idea behind him, because he was a top 2 pick of the draft and could have gone number 1. But I would have waited. I don't think it's a disaster. I don't think like, oh my God, what are they thinking? But I personally would have waited. That's how I would have done it. They decided not to. Happy for Chet. He's a champion. I'm going to say one other thing about the Chet thing, which is not necessarily like, I don't know if it's smart analysis, but it is just kind of how I look at it. If we look at the 3 drafts, his draft and the draft before him and the draft after him, where do we think he is going to stack up amongst those players? So the draft after him, there's Wemby, who I would expect, Wemby already is better than Chet. And that to me is pretty clear, and Wemby has best player in the league upside. I don't know where you stand on this, Demonze. If you were to ask me who is going to be the better player over the next decade, I would take Amen Thompson over Chet. Rockets Thompson. Do you agree or disagree?
I mean, I like what I've seen from Thompson.
I think he needs a shot, which, by the way, is why you might be like, no. And his biggest value right now is defense, and some would argue Chet's a better defender right now just because of the size. But I personally would have Amen Thompson over him. Yeah. Brandon Miller's put up numbers, but we haven't been able to see Brandon Miller on, a competitive team yet. So you would have to probably slot Chet ahead of him, but to me they're similar. I think Paolo's clearly better than Chet. So I would put Paolo, who was the number 1 pick, and J-Dub, who's on the same team, also better than Chet. So there's 4. And then the draft before, who are the guys? I'm looking at it. Cade, I feel is better than Chet. And not I feel, I know is better than Chet. And the other 2 guys in the discussion are Şengün and Mobley. I personally think both those guys are better than Chet. So that's 7 guys. So here's the only reason I bring it up. When we get back to the max contract thing. If of your little miniature, and I'll slot Chet ahead again of Scotty Barnes, of Dyson Daniels, I think that one's probably pretty obvious, of Brandon Miller. If you're the 8th best guy of your draft and the 2 drafts surrounding you, and getting paid the max, it could get tricky. That's all. That's the only point I would make there. Not that it will, it could get tricky on you. All right, this is a message that applies to 99% of you listening right now, because that's how many of you can be covered by fast and reliable service on the Boost mobile network with 99% nationwide coverage. And if you don't think you deserve a deal, listen up. You've got another thing coming. Right now, when you switch to Boost Mobile, you can get iPhone 15 with Dynamic Island and a 48-megapixel main camera for $99.99. That's $99.99 for iPhone 15 on a nationwide 5G network. This may only apply to 99% of you, but I'm 100% positive Boost Mobile just gave all of us a really good deal. In-store offer, $35 device setup fee may apply, requires credit qualification, ID verification, and activation on $60 plans. Taxes extra, 5G speeds not available in all areas. All right, Demonze, let's jump. We'll stay where we're at. Let's go to the post-free agency stuff quickly.
All right, so the smoke is clearing from all these NBA offseason moves. The Rockets are building around KD. The Bucks pulled off some moves to keep Giannis happy or unhappy, depending on who you ask. And the Nuggets just got deeper. Whose off seasons did you like the most, and whose did you like the least?
Like the least is the Pelicans, because they traded away next year's pick. I just hate it so much. Here are the teams who I really do like what they did this offseason. I like what the Knicks were able to do with limited flexibility, and I like Mike Brown as a coach. So I like what they did. I like the Magic adding Desmond Bane and saying, screw it, we're going to go for it. So I like what they did. I thought the Heat, basically manifesting Norman Powell on the team without giving up anything of significant value was a Pat Riley masterstroke. So I like what they did. I love the Hawks offseason. From the player acquisition to most notably getting that extra pick from New Orleans, I think the Hawks really positioned themselves quite well. I love what Denver did. Love it, especially now that Valanciunas is coming over. And they guaranteed a second year, I guess, so now he's going to come over. So I really like what Denver did, and I obviously love what Houston did in adding Durant, and I thought not overpaying for him at all and keeping the full flexibility. The Milwaukee thing we've talked about a bit and is interesting, but Giannis was on a stream with one of my new friends, I Show Speed. Do they just call him Speedy? Or do they just call him Speed? I know. What?
I think,
what?
yes, probably just call him Speed. They call him Speedy, yeah. No, it's from Daddy Daycare.
What, do they not call him Speedy? Am I corny for that? You can laugh at me, I don't know.
Low key.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think
that's fine. I don't know.
I'm honestly like a little ashamed that I know like what they're calling him, but yeah, it's Speedy.
Great dude. Yeah,
I think he's one of the good streamers.
Yeah, him and Kai. I spent a little time with Kai as well. And hold on. I don't want to leave this other kid out. And I want to get his name right because I kept getting it wrong. And so I spent time with him, Kai, and Ty Lil.
Ty Lil, yeah.
And they were all super dope. Kai in particular. Yeah. But regardless, Giannis is doing a stream with Speed, like as we speak, in Greece. And the producers have said I need to listen to this SOT where he said he'll probably stay in Milwaukee. They said I need to listen to it and judge it from there. So let's do it.
Wow. So you staying in Milwaukee? Probably. We'll see. See. Probably. I love Milwaukee.
I don't think Giannis was ready for that question. I'll be honest. Credit to Speed for being like, let me just throw it at you. And that was like that's a real something I'm bad at. If you're like interviewing someone, just quick to the point questions, not over talking. The way a lot of people would do that is give him a lot of time to know it's coming in your long-winded setup. You're like, well, Giannis, there's been a lot of speculation, about your future. Milwaukee made some moves this offseason. They, waived and stretched Damian Lillard. They brought in Miles Turner. Do you think you've done enough to compete for a championship, and will you be a Milwaukee Buck next year? That gives him all the time to credit to Speed for just being like, so you say in Milwaukee?
He doesn't. He's also not in the media like that. I mean, he's obviously
correct.
Like not sports. Yeah, exactly. He's just shooting
which I think probably worked in his favor. Before we get to the Joe Burrow thing, the producers tell me Anna Sabalenka just lost. So American Amanda Anisimova, will play in the Wimbledon finals. And I saw that earlier, and then I laughed because I have a buddy. I don't want to say who it is because I don't know. I don't want to put his business out there, but someone you guys would know who texted me yesterday. So I need some advice. I parlayed Sabalenka with three of the four remaining semifinalists to win it all. So this is what he wrote. If I cash out all of my bets, the pay on the cash out for all of the bets is $4,800. He's like, but if Sabalenka wins and Joker wins, I win $11,000, and Sinner wins, I win $6,000, and Alcaraz wins, I win $10,000. So he's texting me to ask me if he should cash out. Cash out and guarantee $5,000 basically, which is a hedge against Sabalenka losing. But if Sabalenka wins, he was almost guaranteed, 6 to 11,000. And I text back, you know what I'm going to say? Let that ride. And he writes back, but if Sabalenka loses, I lose all the bets. And I'm up right now. I can lock in being up a lot. And I wrote back, cashing out is for cowards. And Sabalenka lost, an hour ago. Well, listen. I mean, you win some, you lose some. You don't cash out bets. They don't offer you the cash out because it's what's smart for you. I stand by the advice. I feel badly about it though. I'm about to send him the yikes emoji. Hold on. I don't know if he's going to be in the mood for it, but I'm going to text him the yikes
pretty
emoji.
Annoying.
There we go. He then wrote in reply to me saying, let it ride. This is what my heart says. But Sabalenka was in deep bleep the last 2 matches. LOL. Well, don't listen to me. What do you want from me? All right, let's do Joe Burrow real quick and then move on.
So we saw Spags call Burrow the second best quarterback in the NFL on season 2 of quarterback. That was back in September, and then obviously there's been a quarterback since then that has beaten Mahomes on the biggest stage possible. Mind you, Burrow didn't even make the playoffs last year. Has Burrow lost his crown as being the biggest threat to Mahomes?
I do think that right now the second best quarterback in football is Josh Allen. And I think that you'll like this take, DeMonte. I think. I said on the show the other day that even if this wouldn't be my personal rankings, because what you hear all the time is, because Randy Moss sent out a tweet that was like, the top 4 is Mahomes, Josh, Lamar, and Joe. Who's number 5? And that seems to be everybody's top 4, those 4 guys. And what I said on the show was, if we are going to be fair, I think that it has to be, at this point, either like a locked-in top 3 that Burrow is not a part of, or a locked-in top 5 that Burrow and Hurts are a part of. Because the Patrick, Josh, Lamar, if they're healthy, and even if they're both, Josh and Patrick are always healthy, and Lamar has been healthy the last couple of years. Their teams are in the playoffs every year. They've won at least one in Josh's case, and multiple in Patrick and Lamar's case, league MVPs. They're the best 3 quarterbacks in football. If we are going to put Joe Burrow in that tier based on the fact that he has these unbelievable numbers and he once beat Patrick in the playoffs, then the counter to that is, well, then the other guy who beat Patrick in the playoffs who's active, who doesn't have these unbelievable numbers, but has this unstoppable play, and whose team he's always available and his team wins, that's the flip side to the Joe Burrow coin, where Joe lacks in team success, Jalen lacks in individual raw passing numbers. So I think the top 3 quarterbacks is what should be locked at this point in Patrick 1, Josh 2, Lamar 3, and then we can argue after. But if you are saying that the top 4, it's just not fair to say Joe belongs in that group with those other guys, but Jalen doesn't, when he's made the playoffs twice in his career. And so I disagree with Spags at this moment. Now, I think here's what I would question about Spags in that moment from quarterback. Did he say the same thing to Josh Allen after the conference championship game? Is that kind of his go-to line? Did he walk off field like, "Hey man, aside from our guy, you're the best"?
Exactly. Not better than Mahomes.
I am a little curious about that. But also, Josh stock rose based on this year because he won a league MVP. People thought the Bills weren't going to be great. And I believed in the Bills, but other people didn't. They beat Lamar. They won a conference championship game. They got to a conference championship. So,
do you think after this next year it'll be very easy to power rank these quarterbacks? Like right now, I think it's a little difficult given how the past few years have gone. But after next year, I feel like it'll be a lot more clear. Like, will Jalen Hurts repeat? What happens with Patrick Mahomes? Joe Burrow, if you don't make the playoffs again, like, you're definitely not there. What's Josh Allen going to do?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there are scenarios where it becomes easier. There's also scenarios where it becomes way messier. You know what I mean? Like that Jaden has a monster individual year. Numbers like he did last year, but the defense isn't as good. Jalen has a great, I'm just painting a weird scenario. They open up the offense, and Jalen Hurts actually puts up crazy good numbers, but they lose their first playoff game.
Right.
You know what I mean? The Burrow puts up the exact year he had last year. It's a carbon copy year. The offense is one of the best in football. He's unbelievable. He has all these great numbers. The team wins 9 games, and the defense is terrible. There are things that could make it complicated. All right, let's do some listener questions.
Curtis asks, who will have the better stat line tonight, Bronny James or Cooper Flagg?
I think the Cooper Flagg's the way, way, way better bet. Listen, Cooper. I know that Bronny's in year 2, but Cooper Flagg's a better player than Bronny. I think that's undeniable in any stretch. Bronny also coming off a rough summer league game. He was good in the first one, tough in the second one. Now there's a chance that for Flagg, a little first summer league game jitters, but I think he'll be good. I think he'll be really good. All right, next.
Collins 11 asks, Knicks, any tips for book sales to improve your poker game?
So let me look up books or sites. I think you're right.
Sites. Yeah.
All right. So it depends on how nerdy you want to get with it. Now, full disclosure, I'm a part, owner's too strong, investor in this company, but Octopi Poker to me is the best poker site as far as if you want to do GTO stuff and training and stuff like that. As far as books, I think that Modern Poker Theory by Michael Acevedo is a really good book if you're trying to, again, do the GTO stuff. If you're just trying to, not worried about GTO, but just avoid, cataclysmic mistakes or learn the basics, I think Daniel Negreanu's YouTube page that has a bunch of basically tutorials on how to play this game or how to play these spots at a, easy to access level. It's the poker version, DeMonze, of what the videos I had you watch on our way to go golfing. Oh my gosh, we never talked about this.
We didn't talk about
DeMonze golfed.
Yeah.
DeMonze golfed at the Royal Hawaiian Golf Club, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. And this is a major announcement for the listeners. DeMonze, newfound respect for golf?
You definitely newfound respect. It was tough. I mean, dude, I don't know what you call these, your cuticles or something like that. These things were bleeding on my finger after we were done.
That's why people sometimes wear gloves.
Yeah.
We didn't wear gloves.
I mean, and being able to play there for the first time, I also thought was super cool. I mean, I don't know.
It was really cool.
It was amazing.
I mean, DeMonze and I so I'm a bad golfer. DeMonze literally had never played ever in his life.
Yeah.
And the driving range was closed, so we couldn't warm up, couldn't practice, no lessons. So I just booked the last allowable tee time, 4:30 in the afternoon. That way no one would be behind us, and we could just hack around out there. DeMonze hit one really good shot. I hit
my last
3.
Shot.
Yeah, I hit 3 really good shots, and then everything else was just a cataclysm. But it was so much fun, and I'm excited to do it next time. It was great. All right.
I really like the Daniel.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The Daniel E question on here. Is it possible LeBron didn't welcome Ayton to LA because he wants to make sure everyone knows that it's Luka's team now? Like, Luka's going to.
I mean, that's the friendliest way to look at it. Maybe I did not think of that. Maybe I should have included that in the actual possibilities. I didn't think of that, but that's maybe the kindest way to look at it. All right, like, rate, subscribe, review. No TV show today or tomorrow. Check out the Poker Go live streams of the World Series of Poker main event, which is going on all weekend, and then I will be on the call Tuesday and Wednesday of the main event final table. Next podcast will be Monday, not Tuesday, because I'll be traveling. All right, what's right? Great job, DeMonte. Great job, Volume, DraftKings, Blue Duck, and our friends at Boost Mobile and everybody else. Talk to you guys later. What's right?